I'm so happy to be talking with Annette Farha, intuitive design coach, about the new book, Finding My Way Home. Yeah, so today we have the ebook is available for free on Amazon. So please, everyone that's listening, please download the ebook. Annette, what inspired you to write this book?
I think that is the funniest story because on my bucket list, I do a bucket list every year. I wanted to write a book. And in my head, I had this beautiful glossy design book because I'm a designer. And so I went to write a book in a weekend, like, oh, I can get this done in a weekend. And I wrote 100 pages. And guess what? It was about transition and about how do we grieve what was to start something new. And it was not the book I wanted to read. I did not want to go back to losing my partner in 2019. I was ready to be new and fresh and move on. What I didn't realize is there's tools in it, and those tools were the tools I needed in starting my new life and transition. You know, we learn things and we forget. And so for me, this was a great remembering. It was like I had no idea all the things that would come from writing a story. To be really honest, it's
Right.
been a trip.
Mm.
So,
I know that surprises us, and I love how you have demonstrated this, right? You followed the muse, right? You let the muse come through you to write this book, and it surprised you. It wasn't what you initially set out to put into book form, but you were
no,
willing
I
and open to
resisted.
follow that. You resist, well,
I
eventually you
resisted
were
at first, and
open.
then I was like, okay.
Oh man.
Like I always try to spreadsheet around it. We can figure this out. I even put it in Chat GPT, like turn this into a book, and it said there was no book. So I was like, fine,
The robot said, no book. Oh man.
fine.
And
So
yeah,
I was like, okay.
yeah. And so you've done an amazing job of pulling this book together and sharing your heart. There's a lot of very in-depth, raw experiences that you share in here. And you've also created, there's beautiful images throughout that you drew and painted. You call them doodles, I know, but they're beautiful images that are in there. Um, and there's also different ways that people can interact with the book and use different tools that they can work through and learn from as they're designing and redesigning their own life after a grief or loss piece. And can you talk a little bit about who you envision this being helpful for?
I envision anyone that has lost a significant other, lost anyone in their life, a parent, lost a pet, lost a job, or has chosen. For me, I made the conscious choice to move, start a new
Mm-hmm.
career, start a
Mm-hmm.
new life. And honestly, I lived it again. It was a great remembering for me for this transition because the 7 tools I share are the most basic tools that I
Mm-hmm.
freaking forgot. I taught them for years, and then you kind of move to new ground. And when you go back to start again, we start again over and over again. And so
Mm-hmm.
it's a remembering. So I think it is wonderful for anyone that's lost someone. I think it's also wonderful for anyone in a transition. Anyone that likes a good story and likes to laugh. I have a whole chapter about the messy middle where I am very if you're a parent and have had those moments that you're like, what am I doing? The messy middle chapter is for you. Okay. It's a bunch of shorts of all the way you can mess up and your kids can still live and survive it. So
Very good to know. Oh, and so, yeah, what advice do you have for people that are going through some type of grief or loss? What would you share with them?
this sounds too basic. And yet it is the whole thread that holds it together is breath.
Mm,
So it's taking that big belly breath in where you're pulling the air through your nose and you're filling your lungs all the way down to where your belly extends and it stretches way out. And once it's full, you pull just a little more in and then you release it all. And when you think you've released it all, release more. and notice your shoulders lower and just allow the world to slow down. The hardest part in grief is that the world is at one pace and you're at another. And it's so lonely because you're broken. Everything is broken apart. Nothing's familiar for you. And everyone else gets a life that's familiar. So whether you've changed a job, you've gotten a divorce, you've had a breakup, even having a new baby, you're like, what in the world just happened to my body and me? And you are so in love with where you are. And that's why we forget that joy and sorrow are hand in hand. They're friends. It's not I'm in joy and I am in sorrow. No, no, no. It's this whole opening for this next stage. We keep birthing these new parts of ourselves. We come into these new seasons. And so for me, that was the first tool. There's also a whole tool about nature and how we bring nature into our homes and how we bring nature into our lives. Because guess what? We're going into fall here and the leaves are going to turn colors and they're going to fall off. Every year, the nature shows us that loss is what brings us the beginning of spring. And somehow we forget, right? Like we're like, wait a minute, it holds everything we need. All we have to do is connect with it. And sometimes that's the last thing we want to do when we hurt so bad. We just want to go crawl in our hole when all of the answers right there in nature and in our breath. Breath is life. And even when you wish you were the one dead, you're still here and we still got to find it. And so that's really what this whole book's about. Like it's a companion I wish I had instead of here's 5 steps. Hey, just do this. Frick that. The odds, like grief is as unique as a fingerprint. So the story isn't like, oh, that's my story. It's not like that. It's like, hey, here's my story. Here's the tool I learned. I want to share it. And yours is going to be so yours, but hey, you're not alone. There's been somebody that broke apart and they still figured out the small sparks. It's also like you turn on the internet and it's like, boom, right? Like the room was a mess and now it's perfect in 30 seconds. Okay, well, there was like a freaking million steps that happened, okay? Like there was a lot of mess, okay, to get there. Nobody wants to talk about or show you. And it was so excruciating to have that be the only thing available to me. And that's really the birth of this book. Like, come to the messy middle with me. It's awkward. It's wobbly. Talk about weeble wobbles. Remember them? They wobble. They don't fall down, but man, they get close. Like that. I mean, that for me, that's what life's so like. And I just wanted something that was real and short. I wanted it to be 90 pages. I think it's like 120 pages, but I want you don't have a lot of capacity in grief. I wanted it so you could read a few pages. So I set it up like that. There's like pictures. You can find a picture and just read that part. You can like I wanted it to be so easy that you could use it a million ways, however you needed it for you, your way. That's really was my goal.
I also want to talk about your dog, Doug, who is perfectly placed behind you right before we started recording the podcast. He like hopped up onto the couch, perfectly placed himself back there. And I know you talk about him a lot in the book too, because he's been a dear companion to you. And I just needed to do that shout out and for him
Yeah,
and
he
for
is
us.
very much, he loves cameras. So he is the goofiest thing. And he is my best friend. Early readers of the book were like, who's Doug? And then when you find out Doug is this dog,
Who
now
is
you
this
know.
Doug?
You won't be
Yeah.
surprised. You won't be confused. Um, I call him a grief dog. He's as much my dog as my father-in-law, who's 88 now and lost his wife. Like this dog, there are these beings and these ascension beings in the world that find us and love us through it. We got Doug to be unconditional love for my boys as we were going through some things. And you know what? He ended up my dog in the end. And he's just, that's who he is. He has no idea. Life is about Doug. That's how it works. And everything's to be curious and investigate. And in grief, it was the best lesson, right? Like all of a sudden we're stopped sniffing a caterpillar and you're like, really, but you're like, wait a minute. This
Mm-hmm.
is the little bitty spark I needed. He let go of a
Mm-hmm.
grasshopper in our house once. So I let him out. He comes back in. It has a grasshopper. We're like, I was literally in pieces. And then we're chasing a freaking grasshopper because we don't kill things. We rehome them to the outside. And it was
Yes.
like such a disaster. So that's really, he was a huge part of
Mm-hmm.
healing
Mm-hmm.
for my journey.
Mm-hmm. What do you have for advice for people that someone that they love might have lost someone, right? Sometimes people just don't know what to do for their friend or their family member. They're not sure how to handle it. What is actually helpful for someone to do for someone who's
Book
going
will be
through
helpful
loss?
for you because
Mm-hmm.
it really talks about holding space. And what do
Mm,
I mean by holding space? You don't want one more platitude that they're in a better place, that everything happens for a reason. You don't even want somebody to frickin' talk to be honest, sometimes. And you
mm,
don't want to be alone.
mm,
So there's a thing called holding space.
mm,
Like, how do you drop in and how do you be comfortable in the uncomfortable?
mm,
So I'm gonna cry, but I don't need you to say frickin' anything because I spend most of my days crying, okay?
mhm,
And I just need you to go on a walk with me. I just need you just to hang out and fold laundry with me. I just need somebody to not be alone, but not be
mm,
here. Don't try to fix anything. I don't need anything fixed because the
mhm,
only way through someone's grief is through it, and they have to go.
mm,
So you can be walking beside them, but there's
mm,
nothing you can really do because it's their journey. It's their
mm,
way, and they have to find their way.
mm,
So, being a beautiful light at the end, as far as bringing food or dropping it off, when they say, I don't need anything, and you can feel it, you have that intuition. Like, I bet their fridge is empty, or I bet they haven't been out of the house. I'm going to take my walking shoes. They can walk in their pajamas.
mm,
Follow your inklings and
mm.
tell them you don't need to say anything. You don't even have to walk beside me. Just know I'm going to be walking and I'll even hold your dog for you. But let's just get out of the house. Let's just walk around the block. A lot of times they don't want to go around the block because you don't want to see anyone because no one knows what to say. And what they say is freaking ridiculous. So you can say, hey, get in the
Right.
car. We're going to go
Go
to a
somewhere
path where
else.
nobody is. Like we had
Right.
trails that, old railroad trails that didn't have people. It sounds crazy. And it's not that anybody means harm. I get it, but it's just like you can barely hold yourself together. Dealing with
Mm.
other people trying to talk their way through their uncomfortable is just annoying. And so if you want the real raw truth, like frickin' I just say it. So if you're like,
Mhm.
nobody's ever felt this way, nope, I probably did, and I probably said it yesterday.
Yeah, and I want to let people know that your book is very entertaining, right? So it seems like, you wouldn't think, oh, a book about grief, right? Is like an entertaining read, but it is because the way that you move through life, the surprises, the things that you learn, right? It's um very engaging the whole way. I'm like, oh man, what's going to happen next? What's going to unfold next? It is also, that's why the subtitle is like about love and loss, but it's also about discovery, right? Like, what do we use these things to discover about ourselves and about the world? And you certainly did that as you were going through this and as you were writing too, right? That was a whole unfolding and discovery.
Yeah, and I can't thank you enough, Elizabeth. So Elizabeth got like 100 pages, and I was like, I don't know what to do. I think I wrote a book, and I didn't want to write about this, and I don't know what to do. And she was like, okay, well, you have poems and prose, you have tools, you have your story. Why don't we organize it so you have a prose, and then you have your story, and then you have a tool? And it ended up 7 chapters. And the love I lost, 7 was his number. And so when she said, hey, what if we organize it this way? I was like, it's 7. That's it. Like I get chills right this moment thinking
Me
about
too.
it. So it allows you, if you want to go through and just use the tools, it allows you to do that. It allows you to just read the story if you want to read the story and skip the tools, skip the, prose. The poems, a lot of them I wrote during that time. That's why I wanted them included. I think there's something about the words that come up in that moment, they hold that energy so that you have that. You don't feel alone. There is a prose that came up in the weekend of write your book that was so, it's my favorite prose. And it personifies grief, and it is my very favorite. One of the pre-readers was like, "Oh my gosh, this is like a Doctor Who episode," and I don't watch Doctor Who, so I don't know. But I was like, she was like, "I love this because of that." Well, I've never even seen that episode. Um, so I think that's part of it when you start allowing it to come through you, which was what that weekend was. You got hypnotized, you got like you went into these deep, deep meditations and you just wrote. You did not, it wasn't in consciousness, it was in your subconscious. And then you dug the story out. And then you said, no, I'm not writing that story if you're me. And then you kept moving on it. So,
Mhm.
and I also thought that I could write a book in the weekend. I thought the book was going to be done because I'm Annette and I'm an Enneagram 7, which when you read the book, it's like you're talking to me like we're besties. And I was like, crap, well, I think I'm going to need a month. So literally, I started this on 2/22 to 2025, and we're
Mm,
launching it on 9/9. I mean, that's
mm,
a pretty quick timeline for a download to
right.
y'all. So
Yeah, absolutely. We haven't talked that much about your work, and I want to make sure that we get to talk about how you help people and, design their lives, their homes, their surroundings, and create really sacred, beautiful spaces for them. Can you just touch on that a little bit so that people get to know you, that aspect of you?
yeah. So what I call my work is intuitive design. And what does that mean? It means you know. So you'll see me wear hearts a lot. Your heart, your intuition, it knows. So Magazine Beautiful is for a magazine. It doesn't mean I don't create stunning spaces. I would never create this exact space for you because this is for me. And so what it's about is energy first. And that's really where the book takes you is you have to open space. So if you don't want to talk about feelings, you don't want to do feelings, let's clean your closet. Let's make your closet feel like whoever you want to step into being. Okay.
Mm,
If your bedroom was your lover, what would it say about you? If your
mm,
office was your client, what would it say about you? Those are, we don't realize that we're co creating with our environment. We also don't realize that nature's healing. So every time we understand nature's elements and we bring them in and we play with them, we start healing ourselves. We're starting to interconnect with nature, with our environment, and we're all interconnected. So when we can trust that and we can trust ourselves and we can trust ourselves to be the very star we're meant to be. The one thing we're meant to be is our USU. Like there's only one of you. You have one unique fingerprint and you're here to be that. And what if you could express yourself like that in your office, in your home? What becomes possible for you then as you step out into the world? And so when we create those environments, that's what it's about. In the last couple of chapters, it's about opening space, and I talk about that. The last chapter is energy first. What is
mm.
energy first? How do we do that? How do we know what zaps our energy and what juices our energy? So it really is a story about grief and about letting go so that you can open and step into. And it's not like, here's the blue pill, here's how to do it. It's not like that at all. It's like, how do you find your rhythm? Because the world is going fast. If you watch The Matrix or believe in The Matrix, if you like, it's like, and then we're like, why do I feel like this? Well, you gotta come home to you.
Mm,
It's just like it took you out of your home. Home's always in here
mm.
and it's always reflecting us back. So our home has love letters and that's what we're doing is how do we come home? Be our like me as me.
And it's so incredibly beautiful to me that you have written this book from your heart and your lived experience, and it's also touching on the physical location where someone is, because when someone goes through a grief, a transition, a loss of any kind, right, there's a big impact on their surroundings can sometimes radically change, right, or there's an opportunity for them to align that more with them or who they are or who they're becoming. And so there aren't that many things that take into account, I don't know of books that focus on those two things at once, right? And so it is a unique thing that a lot of people, at like pretty much everyone that's going through a grief or a loss has the opportunity to shift things in their environment or that's impacted. So there you go.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I feel like realtors, this could be a nice tool for you, especially if you're
Mm-hmm.
working with a client who doesn't know, do I need to move? I've lost somebody. Do I need to stay? It's a good way to help them through grief and figure out no matter what, if they move or stay, they have to open space. It doesn't
Mm-hmm.
matter.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's going to help them through that because I have a real estate background. I've helped over 400 people
Mm-hmm.
find homes and figure it out. And so that's a lot of the experience that's baked in this little bitty book.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, if you that's another person it's probably for. Is anyone
Mm-hmm.
that's wondering, should I move? Should I stay? What should I do?
Mm-hmm. And so for the book is available on Amazon. The ebook is available now, so people can find it by looking for Finding My Way Home by Annette Farha. You can search that in Amazon and get the ebook and download that. The paperback will be available shortly, so depending on when you're listening to the podcast or viewing this, it might be already up there. So it's not quite there yet, but soon. Um, I'd like us to share your website, how they can connect with you if they'd like to connect with you directly. So that's adesigndiscovery.com. Is that correct?
Yes. So what you notice about this is it's a designer's guide to love, loss, and discovery.
Mm-hmm.
A design discovery is we design your life your way, right? Like your life by your design. So that's what it's all about is your environment and designing your life and you. And so A Design Discovery is where you find me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm working on my emails on my website as we speak. So every time you go, you might see something new because this is the thing. It's the messy middle. I'm figuring it out with you all. It never
Perfect.
stops.
Anything else that we didn't get to that you want to make sure that you share with our listeners today?
I think the big thing is the messy middle is the magic. So if you feel like you don't have it all together and you are struggling, you're perfect. You're
Mm-hmm.
human.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So if you need a place to be human, come check it out. Come check out my website. Um, if you're looking for design ideas, I just want to welcome everyone to check it out. It may be for you, it may not. You'll know quickly when you read a sample. So
Thank you so much for taking the time to talk with us today, Annette. It's always a joy to connect with you.
thank you, Elizabeth.